Have you ever stopped to ask yourself what it is that makes a great friend? I'm not sure it's a question that I've ever really stopped to consider or think about. You kind of just go through life and make friends and kind of see whether they're good friends or not, or whether I'm a good friend or not. In fact, the two things that probably shaped me about friendship are scripture, where we're told to love our neighbour as we love ourselves, but also growing up every tea time, Monday to Friday, watching the Australian soap opera Neighbours, and the theme tune had the line of "Neighbours should be there for one another. That's when good neighbours become good friends." And that's probably the extent of my knowledge, my reflection of what it is to be a great friend, kind of to love someone as you love yourself and to be there. And that's probably pretty much it. As you know, we are working our way through Proverbs, or we're looking at some themes in Proverbs, and today we're looking at what kind of friend. We're looking at the subject of friendship. And as that theme tune said, that's when good neighbours become good friends. Actually, this morning, we don't want to look at good friends. We want to look at what it is that makes a great friend. There is a handout, an outline, a sermon outline of where we're going, and more importantly, the proverbs that I'm using this morning as we look at this topic of friendship. And as we make our way through this, there are two questions that I want you just to constantly have on your mind. The first one is this: what kind of friend am I? What kind of friend am I? As we look at what makes a great friend, do we see ourselves? And the second one is, what kind of friend are my friends? What kind of friend are my friends? We're kind of reflecting on our friendships, whether they're healthy friends, whether we have got great friends in our life. And we're going to look at the uniqueness of friendship. We're going to look at a little bit of what it means to be a great friend. And then we're going to look at the greatest, the perfect friend. So first up, the uniqueness of friendship. Proverbs 18:24 says, "A man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother." Say, Nathan, you're talking about the uniqueness of friendships, but friendships aren't unique. We've all got friends. Everybody's got friends. One of the first things that kids learn how to do is how to make friends. There's nothing really unique about it. But as I say, we're not just looking at good friends. You know, these days with social media, we can have hundreds, if not thousands of friends, but only maybe 1, 2, 3, if we're lucky, are great friends. And that's the uniqueness that we're looking at. You know, I have many companions, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. So that there is a uniqueness to a great friendship. The observation here is that, you know, we all have siblings, or often have siblings, but friendship is greater. Now that might seem kind of obvious to us, but remember, this is written in a culture where family was so central and so important, and life is orientated around the family. Proverbs 17:17 says, "A friend loves at all times. A brother is born for a time of adversity." Generally speaking, not always, but generally, through hard times, your family will be there for you. Not always, but generally. And that's kind of because there's a sense of duty often. There might be more than that, but at the very limit, there's a sense of duty. We are family. We need to be there for one another. But your siblings may not like you. They may not want to hang out with you. Yes, they'll help you when you're struggling or things are tough, but they might not choose you. Friends are unique because they have chosen you. There's that saying, you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends. Friendship is unique. Great friendship is really unique. There's an absolute uniqueness about it. You know, there are all kinds of love in this world. There's kind of a romantic love and lots of things that are grasping for your attention and grasping for your time, but friendship won't do that. There is uniqueness about it. And it's unique because those things squeeze out the potential for friendship. When life gets busy, it's family or it's work or it's our civic duty. Those kind of things kind of put pressure and make demands of us. But friendship doesn't. And so it's no wonder that through these last 18 months when life has been tough, there's all kinds of demands put upon us that people have found themselves more lonely than they've ever been before. Because the realization that all these things have just been squeezing our time, squeezing our attention and our devotion. And friendship is lost because friendship doesn't make demands of us. There's a uniqueness of us. It doesn't come hunting us down. That's what I'm trying to say. Friends obviously make demands of us, but to make a friendship, it doesn't hunt us down. It doesn't pursue us like those other things do. When you open a glossy magazine, or when you look at the front cover of a glossy magazine, if you read them or see them on the shelves, it's never, the headline is never who's best friends with who. It's always who's dating who. And our culture kind of pushes that romantic love on us. C.S. Lewis wrote this. I've taken quite a bit from an essay that he wrote about the 4 loves on his bit on friendship. He says, friendship is the least instinctive, organic, biological, the least necessary of all our loves. It has the least commerce with our physical system. There is nothing throaty about it, nothing that quickens the pulse or turns you red and pale. There's nothing that grabs us about friendship, but yet we need it. It's unique. You know, the other things that I've said push themselves on us. If it wasn't for erotic love, then we wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for kind of family love, then we wouldn't have been nurtured and cared for, whether it's by our family or by other people who stepped in and took that role. If it wasn't for kind of like society, civic love, then society would just crumble and fall down. We would have no sense of duty or work or networking and things like that. Life just wouldn't function. Especially in our context where people have high demands on travel and people are pushing themselves at us all the time. Friendship has to be intentional. We have to hunt it ourselves. We have to give it time. And that's why it's unique. The book of Proverbs says that you will not make it through life without friendship. Friendship offers us something unique. Something special about a great friend. Proverbs says that fools perish either because of lack of friends or poorly chosen friends. So with that in mind, let's think about the recipe for a great friend. Proverbs 27:17 says, perfume and incense bring joy to the heart, and the pleasantness of a friend springs from the heart, their heartfelt advice. It talks about the pleasantness of a friend. The word pleasantness could be translated for sweetness, kind of like honey. That's kind of what it's talking about. The honey and real friendship is like sweet food. Remember, we're talking about a culture here where sugar hadn't been invented, where you couldn't kind of, if your tea or coffee was a bit bitter, these days we just add a bit of sugar to it and it tastes nice. If we have porridge or something for breakfast and it just kind of doesn't feel quite taste nice, if we can add a bit of sugar and suddenly it's better. If your pizza's a bit salty, we add a bit of pineapple to it, controversial, and there's added sweetness. And for some people, that tastes better. But actually in this culture, it's likening friendship to sweet food. It has to be discovered. You can't just manipulate it or make it. You have to discover it and taste it and find it for yourself. That's kind of back onto the uniqueness of friendship, but also the recipe of a great friend. The first thing is you have to discover it. It's not going to find you. You have to be intentional. You have to look for it. You kind of have to search for it. You have to have your eyes open. You have to want it, because it won't just happen. Friendships cannot just be created just like that. They have to be discovered. Another C.S. Lewis quote from the same essay: friendship arises out of mere companionship. When two or more of the companions discover they have in common some insight or interest or even taste which the others do not share, and which, till that moment, each believed to be his own unique treasure or burden. The typical expression of opening friendship would be something like, "What? You two? I thought I was the only one." There's a sense there of you're going through life and you discover friendship. The big difference between friendship and say romance is romance, you're kind of looking at one another, staring into one another's eyes, saying, I love you. With friendship, you're side by side, journeying on a path together with common interests. Of course, there should be some overlap, but there's a uniqueness of friendship and it must be discovered. What else makes a good friend? Well, a friend is constant. A friend loves at all times. We've had that already in 17:17. Does that mean that you spend all your time with your friend if they love at all times? No, because Proverbs 25:17 says, too much of you and they will hate you. I'm pretty sure that many of us with our lockdown bubble families or friends probably pushed that to the limit over the last year. Too much of you and they'll hate you. No, he says a friend loves at all times. What that's saying is that a friend loves in all times. When life is sweet, when life is ordinary, when it's routine, when it's predictable, they will love you. When life is hard, when life is good for you but hard for them, and vice versa, when life is hard for them and good for you, they will still love you. A friend loves at all times. You cannot be a great friend unless you're available at all times. A companion, an acquaintance, a not so great friend will drop you when things get tough. When you stop, putting it bluntly, being useful to them. We are likely to do the same thing. Proverbs 19:14 says, wealth brings many new friends, but a poor man is deserted by his friend. 19 verses 6 and 7 says, many seek the favour of a generous man, and everyone is a friend to a man who gives gifts. All a poor man's brothers hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him? People who aren't great friends will drop us, will desert us when the going gets tough, when we cease to be useful, when we perhaps stop being fun, or we stop being wealthy, whatever it is we provide for them, they will just drop us. But a great friend loves at all times. You know, one of these distant friends or ones who aren't a great friend, when you're in trouble, will say, call me if you need anything. But a great friend will just be there, constant. Second thing, carefulness. The careful friends understand one another. They are connected. They know when to joke and when to be sensitive. This is perhaps one of my favourite proverbs, and a friend of mine had it on her door at university, and it's Proverbs 27:14. If anyone loudly blesses their neighbour early in the morning, it will be taken as a curse. Proverbs 25:20 says, like one who takes away a garment on a cold day, or like vinegar poured on a wound, is one who sings songs to a heavy heart. There, the word is songs of joy. This is about friends who are insensitive, who are not careful, who don't know you very well, who fail to read the room, to read the signs, who sing songs of joy when your heart is heavy. A couple of weeks ago, I finally had my second vaccination, and I was kind of excited by that, but still saddened by the fact that because of various rules, I'm not going to go into it, we still couldn't travel to the UK without quarantining. So our opportunity to see family this summer had gone because we've got other commitments. And I expressed this on Facebook, just kind of my longing, my sadness, I couldn't see family. And with Facebook, of course, the way it is, some people just took that because of the EU British thing and just took that as kind of a Brexit bashing moment. And I was saying, guys, please just have some sensitivity. I've expressed my heart here, my sadness of not being able to see my family. And here you are just turning it into a round and arguing about Brexit. Have some sensitivity. Have some carefulness. You know, it's fair enough to say that those people aren't my greatest friends. They're people I've kind of loosely known in the past. A great friend knows when to joke, knows when they can sing songs of joy, but also when they need to sing songs of lament with you. A great friend cannot go about singing songs of joy when your heart is heavy, because their heart will be heavy too for you. But in contrast to that, a friend is also candid. In contrast, a friend will speak the truth. So there's carefulness, but there's also truth-telling. Proverbs 27 verses 6 to 7 say, better is open rebuke than hidden love. Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. A friend is someone who will say what is painful to say but needs to be said. You know, it's always embarrassing, isn't it, when you're talking to someone and you don't know it and there's kind of a little bogey or something just hanging out of your nose. And people have different reactions, don't they? Some people will just kind of smile and nod because they don't want to say anything because it will cause embarrassment, the fact that they pointed out, and you have this awkward moment, you go, oh, sorry, and I'm actually just checking right now and I think I'm okay, good. But they don't want to point it out because it causes embarrassment. Whereas some people will just call out, oh, by the way, you just got to, and you just kind of, oh yeah, oh, that was awkward, that was embarrassing, and you move on. Now, in a kind of like that situation, but more serious, a friend will call things out, no matter how tricky, no matter how embarrassing, no matter how painful it is, because it's for your good. Better is an open rebuke than hidden love. Hidden love is someone saying, I can't tell them that. It will hurt their feelings. And they think about loving someone by hiding the truth. You know, things are much more serious than kind of something hanging out your nose. When you enter into a bad relationship, a destructive relationship, when you're pursuing bad goals or whatever it might be, a friend will speak truth to you, no matter how painful, no matter how much it hurts. Verses 5 and 6 there of the Proverbs we were looking at, and I can't remember what it was, maybe 27, verses 5 and 6 are in parallel with each other. In verse 6 is coupled with verse 5, and it says the hiding of the truth is coupled with the enemy. Likewise, the rebuke in verse 5, I think, is when it comes from a friend, even though it is painful to hear, it can be trusted. It tells us in verse 6 that we can trust it when it comes from a friend. Proverbs 29 verse 5 says, those who flatter their neighbours are spreading nets for their feet. Not speaking out. Using flattery when hard truth is needed does not help friendship. Does not help the person. It's not great friendship. The challenge, though, is that we have to cultivate friendships. We often cultivate friendships because of their usefulness, as I said earlier. That because we can get something from someone. And before we get too offended about people might do that to us, but actually we sometimes do it to other people as well. And it's kind of the way that acquaintances and loose friends often get started and work. And the thing is that therefore, those people will not call you out on hard truths because that's not what they're in this friendship for. But a great friend will. They won't flatter you because it means you won't be able to see the real situation. And as the proverb says, flattery is just like a trap. A friend will tell you the truth, what really needs to be said, no matter how painful it is. So carefulness and candor kind of have to go together. They share this hard truth, but knowing it's going to hurt them too. A friend is careful, candid, constant, and fourthly, before we look at a great friend, they give good counsel. Proverbs 27 verse 9 says, perfume and incense bring joy to the heart, and the pleasantness of a friend springs from their heartfelt advice. And Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Just very quickly, these verses talk about the need to kind of have a great friend is someone who gives advice. And it's kind of mutual in our friendships, isn't it? Kind of as iron sharpens iron, we do it with one another. And as the other one says, that pleasant friendship is from their heartfelt advice, that carefulness, that kind of love, that connectedness. And they give advice, not advice that will benefit them, but from their heart will benefit you. A great friend will give good advice. So what kind of friend? A friend who is constant, always there for you, will always let you in, will always be available for you. A friend who is careful, who is candid, will speak the truth and gives and receives counsel. If you find someone like that, then you have got a great friend. If you are someone like that, then you are a great friend. We could end it there, but I just want to push us a little bit further. When you read that list, when we kind of think of what it is that makes a great friend, as we reflect on those questions of what kind of friend am I, what kind of friends are my friends, I wonder what your reaction is. And I think there are probably many possibility reactions, but I want to explore two, which are perhaps most common. The first one is that when you look at that list, there is a deep longing. A deep longing because you want a friend like that. We want to have it and we haven't got it. We live in a transient community, especially here in this international setting community. We are constantly saying goodbye to people and we have to forge and cultivate friendships. And when we say goodbye to people, it is so painful. And the big challenge is that creating and cultivating and forging new friendships takes much longer than the turnover of people, and we can easily get tired and worn out from it. And so we stop trying, and then we long for a friend, for that great friendship. Jen and I had a friend when we lived in Oxford who Oxford is a very transient city as well. And she had a deep longing for kind of a great friend. And Jen and I were just one of these other people who were good friends, but then we moved on. And her heart was always aching for a deeper connection with people. The second possible reaction you have to that list of those friends is, the first one is longing. The second one is perhaps heaviness or guilt. That ideal friend is not you. It's just so hard to be that person. I'm not a great friend myself. The ideal friend is just such a huge challenge. No wonder I don't have great friends, because I can't even be a great friend to someone else. And we just feel guilty and weighed down and burdened by it. Well, the answer, hopefully you won't be surprised to know, to both of those responses is Jesus. When we think about a friend who is constant, always there for you, the longing of a friend, Jesus says and promises, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. When we think about a friend who is careful, Jesus says, I am gentle and humble in heart. When we think about a friend who is candid, who will speak the truth, Jesus is the truth. He is the way, the truth, and the life. When we think about a friend who gives wise counsel, the Bible tells us that Christ is the treasure of wisdom and knowledge. Jesus is the ideal, the perfect friend. Talking about my friend Joe earlier, who had a longing for a friend. Not long after we moved away from Oxford, we heard the tragic news that she had died suddenly. And after kind of processing that information, literally within seconds, our hearts changed from just heaviness and sadness to she's finally with the Lord. She's finally with that friend she's been longing for. Of course, she knew Jesus already, but now in a more intimate and deeper way, she had her heart's desire, because Jesus is the perfect, the greatest friend. Jesus is the ideal friend. On the night before he died, at the Last Supper, he turned to his disciples and said, I no longer call you servants, but I call you friends. And he also says, greater love has no one than this, to lay down his life for his friends. Jesus is the answer to our longing for friendship. Jesus is also the answer to our inadequacy, our sense of guilt, our heaviness, because we aren't a great friend. Why? Because Jesus is the Son of God, who calls us friends. He called his disciples friends. And remember, on that night, he urged them to stay with him, to be constant with him, to stay awake and pray. But actually, they disowned him, they rejected, they ran from him, they turned on him. He was wounded for them, but yet he still called them friends. Jesus is the friend who sticks closer than a brother. And knowing this liberates us. Knowing that Jesus has taken our wounds and taken our pain so that we don't have to. He went to hell so that we don't have to. That is incredible friendship. the friendship that we are longing for, but also knowing that Jesus still loves us, that he'll be there for us no matter what, gives us strength and courage and power to step up and step out and to make ourselves vulnerable as we pursue friendship and longing for friendship with other people, because we know if all falls apart, Jesus is there to catch us. But also the great thing about knowing Jesus is that we are empowered by the Holy Spirit, and Jesus gives us the power to send us out to be great friends. And actually, there is an ideal, perfect great friend, but only Jesus fulfills that criteria. The rest of us are just striving to do our best. Tim Keller, and I'm going to wrap up with this, says this: make Jesus the friend your heart desires, and you will have all the friends your heart needs. Make Jesus the friend your heart desires, and you will have all the friends your heart needs. What I think he's saying there is Jesus is the perfect. He is the greatest friend. And actually, if you make him your friend, then actually all your longings are fulfilled in him. That you do not need to seek other things. But yet, at the same time, we make Jesus our friend. We look to him. We follow him. We follow his ways, his teaching. We receive his grace and his blessing and his power. And that will transform us so that we can be great friends to one another. Friendship. It is unique to have a great friend. What kind of friend are you?